The danger of today's version of the mythical homespun, aw shucks TV totalitarian Lonesome Roads, Glenn Beck, is summed up by remarks today in which he claimed that a revolution has begun in this country, a stealing of America in the guise of an election, and his repeated insistence that the president is a Marxist. Our number one story in the countdown, the comfort of today's mythical homespun, aw shucks TV totalitarian Lonesome Roads, Glenn Beck, is that every day he gives away the essential truth that he is an idiot. If you're going to warn the colonists that the English have arrived in the Bay, you're not going to get very far by jumping onto a horse and yelling, "The British are coming! The British are coming!" If you're trying to tell Mr. Chambers that the alien book To Serve Man is not about helping people but eating them, you kind of lose your credibility if you say, "Mr. Chambers, don't get on that ship. The rest of the book, To Serve Man, it's a phone book." Here's Mr. Beck last week with the zeal of Paul Revere and the panic of Mr. Chambers' assistant cryptographer Pat and the spelling ability of a third grader.
I told you that we were going to talk about these things. We were going to talk about Obama, the left, internationalists, graft, acorn-style organizations, revolution, and hidden agenda. O-L-I-G-A-R-H. One letter is missing. Why did I select these words? Because acorn selects tides. They all select their words first and then tie them all together into one word. Oligarch, the one that's missing, is why. I don't know if we're turning into an oligarchy or what we're turning into, but unless you ask why, we're going to transform into something. Ask questions.
I got a question. Don't you rehearse oligarchy? Or did Obama steal the letter C? Mr. Beck came back the next day and tried to bury the reality that the less than 1% of the country that watches or listens to his show thinking they are not listening to an uneducated, imperceptive, panicky whack job are completely mistaken. Channeling his inner Pee Wee Herman, he said everything but "I meant to do that," and suggested he almost left out the C in oligarchy on purpose, that the C stands for czars. This was desperation at its worst. The fascination with czars is a fodder for a segment of its own. The use of the Russian dictatorial term czar for a presidential appointee did not just begin yesterday. It began with President Nixon when he put in an energy czar, William Simon, during the oil crisis of December 1973. Simon promptly announced we'd be starting daylight savings not in April but in January. That's a czar. And the true era of American czars came under, Ronald Reagan. He created the position of drug czar, filled more or less continuously since 1982. So, Mr. Beck, if you're going to insult czars and the sainted memories of President Nixon and President Reagan, I'm going to have to challenge you to a duel. That's D-U-E-L, by the way. It's hard to say what percentage of that less than 1% watches in rapt, mesmerized fascination at the truth teller whose low brain function is no lower than their own, and what percentage watches, as the rest of us do, for the never unfulfilled promise of a train wreck yet to come. He misquoted Shakespeare the other day. To me, train wreck. To his gullible viewers, golly, he knowed about Shakey's Pizza. I mean, look, he quotes Theodore Roosevelt. Yeah, the guy who looks like the mountain.
We speak without fear, while basing it all in fact. Walk softly and carry a big stick. That ain't a gun, man. That is the facts.
Yes, it is. Walk softly and carry a big stick. Speak softly and carry a big stick. Whatever. That is the facts. One other thing here. College communications programs don't teach you much about actual broadcasting, but I had one professor whose full-time job was as general manager of one of the local radio stations, and among many things, he taught me one truth that he said separated the men from the boys. "I hate those egotistical Good Morning World sign-ons," Don Martin said to me. "People watch and listen to radio and TV one person at a time, talk to one person at a time. Whenever I hear 'Good evening, everyone,' I turn around to see who comes in the room with me when they say that. Ahem."
Well, hello, America. Good night, America.
And don't forget, squawk softly, carry a big brick, and leave off the last C for savings.